All righty, all righty. I found myself. I'm happy to say that I found myself and I can see what I'm doing again. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone into our free webinar for today. We're going to spend the next half an hour together and we're going to talk about hard skills and soft touch, the soft skills of nursing, and together they make the ultimate toolkit. So make sure you let me know. And the soft skills of nursing are a lot of things that we're going to learn today. So they're being kind, being clear, being direct. So give me good feedback or whatever kind of feedback in the kindest way possible. We always aim to do and be better. So anyway, right away, where are you coming from? We're going to talk about the art and science of nursing, but first of all, where is everybody coming from? You can put it in your chat. We have Canada representing. We have Colombia and Florida. This is amazing. Toronto, Philippines, Philadelphia, England. Okay. So we have lots of people from all different. Oh, Yolanda. You were in my intense prep group, correct? So I'm very, very excited for you. I hope that all of you learn a little bit about this. This will help you in your career as a nurse. And let's get started. So one of the things, one of my favorite, I love nursing theory and I love philosophy of nursing. And one of my favorite nursing philosophies is that nursing is an art. It's an art and a science. And everyone understands what the science of nursing is. We want to be clinically apt. We want to be clinically excellent. We want to be competent. And our patients and clients want that as well. But there's also an art. That's the soft skills of nursing. And Florence Nightingale, the original, the OG, said it best: nursing is an art, and if it is to be made an art, it requires an exclusive devotion, as hard a preparation as any painter's or sculptor's work. So really, we're lifetime learners. We're always trying to be and do better, and really being introspective and learning about what we do, how we can be better, how we can have better relationships, how we can have better client outcomes. My director of nursing, Rachel, always says after every lecture, after every interaction, even if it's the most excellent lecture ever, she sits for a minute and she thinks about, how could I have done better? What could I have done to have a different outcome? That's a soft skill of nursing. We always are aiming to improve and learn and think about what we've done and how it impacted other people. So clinical excellence is the hard skill of nursing. We all know that. And compassionate, ethical care is the soft skill of nursing. So Florence Nightingale viewed nursing not merely as a set of clinical tasks, which are the hard skills, but as an expression of compassionate service rooted in intuition, observation, and ethical care and transformation. So when we talk about the soft skills of nursing and we talk about what the art is, it's presence, being present for your client, perception, and expression. The way we hold space for that patient, offering calm and reassurance, the way we were able to see subtle changes in their condition, that intuition, like something's not right, before they're measurable, and using words, tone, silence, therapeutic silence, empathetic silence, and even touch, therapeutic touch, to communicate that they're safe, that it's a dignified space, and that there's hope. So to me, nurses are action superheroes at the bedside. They're so much more than just technical excellence. We are superheroes. We create that healing platform that allows people to feel safe, feel dignified, and to heal. And so we always talk about doctors having no bedside manners. Well, their bedside manner applies to us as well. Like, are we fully present? Are we involved in our own thoughts? Can we hear, excuse me, what our client is saying to us? That's the soft skill of nursing. So we're the medium where we bring comfort and transformation. It's us. We're the healing platform. It's how we interact. It's how our body language, our communication, our empathy, the way we interact with our team members, the way we do patient handoffs. These are all really important foundational pieces to a great patient outcome and to have a great work environment too. So when we talk about technical skills, everybody knows what they are. We want the IV tech to come in and we want them to be able to do a pretty painless IV insertion that's a patent IV the first time, not the fourth time. We understand why we need to hold the bar high in infection control and every other thing that we do that is a technical and learned skill. That's a given, but also clinical competency, all the rest of it, the foundation of safe, compassionate care is both of them, the combination of hard skills and soft skills. Now, remember, if anyone knows, we have the Gallup poll where there's an honesty and ethics poll every year, and nurses have rated #1 by the common population, #1 for 23 years in a row as the most trusted profession in honesty and ethics. The only year we didn't get it was in 9/11 when firefighters got it instead because of 911 in America. But other than that, we've held the bar high professionally, and a lot of that has to do with our competence with soft skills. So why do they matter? I think that it's evident. We need technical, hard skills and interpersonal skills, and these impact client safety, communication, teamwork, and professional growth. And developing soft skills improves empathy, adaptability, and stress management. So we need that combination. Oh, Adama, that's okay. You're good. You're good. All right, so the hard skills in nursing are things like we talked about, the technical skills, clinical skills, IV insertion, wound care, medical administration, electronic health records, dose calc, charting, diagnostic testing, interpretation, advanced life support. We want to be clinically competent. We want to be clinically excellent. You want that nurse walking into your room that is competent and knowledgeable and can give you the best outcomes. But we also want communication and empathy, critical thinking and problem solving, teamwork and collaboration, stress management and resilience, professionalism and accountability. So as I made a little graph for hard skills, we gain it through education. It's proven with certification. I'm board certified in both holistic and psychiatric nursing. So I worked harder. I worked a little bit longer to learn those skills in order to be good at that. It's measurable, it's teachable. Soft skills are more nuanced. They're developed through experience and education. They're demonstrated in teamwork. They're abstract, and they're interpersonal sometimes, but just as important. So I made a fictional example of hard and soft skills in a nurse, and meet Jamie, the ICU RN. Jamie is a critical care nurse with 15 years of experience. Her charting is flawless, her knowledge of protocols is encyclopedic, and she handles emergencies with precision. However, what do you think? By looking at her, this is body language. By looking at her, you're like, what's going on here? You can see that maybe she might not be the most empathetic. Maybe she's having a bad day, but we can see by the picture that I created that Jamie might not be receptive to what this other nurse is explaining to her. So when we talk about the however part, she's clinically excellent. She has all her tech skills just on board, but she snaps at new nurses for not keeping up. If someone asks a question, she'll often say, didn't they teach you that in nursing school? She rolls her eyes at family members asking for clarification. In interdisciplinary huddles, she frequently talks over others or dismisses their input. So what kind of soft skills do you think Jamie is lacking? You can put it in the chat for Jennifer in the questions if you like. What kind of things do you think would improve the client outcome, would improve working with her? Yeah, maybe empathy, caring. There's something called horizontal violence in nursing. Did anyone ever hear that term, horizontal violence. When we think of violence, we think of somebody punching them in the nose. Hi, Paula. But what horizontal violence is aggression, like microaggressions towards your peers on the same level as you. Hey, so I'm usually behind the scenes, right? So what they're demeaning others, talking behind their backs, not helping them out, not setting them up for a success. That's what horizontal violence is. Like it exists in just about every environment. Somebody, really not collaborating with you, keeping knowledge away from you, not supporting you. So that's what that is. So despite her skills, these are some things that the staff might say about her, right? They'll say, the emotional environment feels unsafe. Have you ever been in an environment that felt unsafe? You didn't feel like you had a voice, you didn't want to talk, anything like that. And I'm talking about a work environment. Others felt belittled, undervalued, anxious, which affected team performance. Her lack of emotional intelligence and collaborative communication eroded morale and client family trust. We have to collaborate with other treatment modalities, speech therapy, PT, OT. They are all part of the client outcome. If it's ordered, it's important. And a lot of times we'll say, not now, PT's coming. You'll see an attitude that will maybe we think that our job is more important. So we always want to be very collaborative. We always want to have a win-win situation when we can. And we also want to avoid creating an environment where other people feel belittled, undervalued, or anxious. And this is really important because you want to work in an environment, you want to create an environment where people are happy to see you walk through the door. You don't want people like, oh, even if you're technically excellent, you want to create collaboration, cooperation, that kind of environment that really makes the nursing team thrive. So what her coworkers might also say is, I learn a lot when I observe her, but I'd never feel safe asking for help. She makes me feel like a burden just for being new. It's easier just to avoid her and not to collaborate at all. I mean, I think that we all know some type of Jamie somewhere, right? They're excellent, but there's an element of fear, and we don't really learn as much as we can from them because we don't want to feel that way, feel emotionally unsafe. These are soft skills. So the key takeaway from my little Jamie is that being great at your job isn't just about the skills. In nursing, being great means being relational. Can I relate to people, or am I relatable? Am I friendly? Am I approachable? And is a collegial or a friendly environment, demonstrating empathy, respect, and humility. I mean, humility is like, I don't know everything. This example illustrates the importance of soft skills. Can anybody relate? Anybody ever work with someone like that? Oh, we got a little plug for intense prep here. So anyway, I am an intense prep instructor. This is just a little plug for 2 minutes. I love this program. That's the program that I work the most in intense prep. A lot of you guys see me in the chat support or don't see me because I'm behind the scenes. But intense prep is Archer's probably most intense featured course. It is, I would say, a carefully curated, it is definitely a guided and structured roadmap through all high yield NCLEX content. We do it through videos, live lectures, live case studies. We do the 1, review high yield content, 2, do the questions in the question bank, which involve all test plan areas, all subjects, all lessons, all next generation, and the clinical judgment that goes along with that. And then what we do is there's this amazing newer in the last couple months remediation feature of the dashboard, which is my favorite thing ever, where you can actually go through all your incorrect answers, pen them, high confidence or low confidence, check to see if they're easy or medium. And then with intense prep, you get 6 weeks, 12 intensive sessions with me or Shelly or someone else who's an intense prep instructor, where we teach you prioritization strategy, and we also give you feedback on your question bank performance. I see a couple people who are intense prep students, so hopefully they got the great benefit because they know how much I love the program. So anyway, that's a little plug for it. So back to our soft skills. Just as a refresher, they refer to personal and interpersonal competencies. Competencies, are we competent? So just like Rachel, I told you about our director of nursing, she's always asking herself, hey, even if she got like great kudos on the best lecture ever, she goes over it again and says, how could I have done that better? Do I think that I impacted it in the way I want it to be? Can I change one thing about it to make it better? And I love that philosophy. I love it so much because it's hard to be vulnerable. We work with vulnerable people all the time, and we expect that of them, but we don't allow nurses to be vulnerable and saying, well, I didn't do that well. How could I be better? So that is something we always want to be moving and growing towards. Again, our soft skills are communication, empathy, active listening, teamwork, critical thinking, adaptability, cultural humility, emotional intelligence, and conflict resolution. And I'll go over a little bit of touch on these a little bit. But communication, a lot of people say, I told you, and they think they communicated, but communication is a volley. Communication means that you have spoken, written, emailed, you have communicated in some way, and it must be with clarity. And the only way that communication occurs, if I shout out into the wilderness, I don't know who hears me, but communication doesn't occur until the person that I am communicating with responds in a way that I know they understand. And it's really important to be able to communicate clearly, kindly, thoroughly, succinctly, all of those things. Those are skills that we can learn. Empathy, active listening. A lot of people just listen while they're thinking about what they want to say, and they're not really hearing. And this is really, really important. Clients, patients want to be heard. They want their stories to be heard. That's where healing begins as a mental health nurse. Critical thinking, adaptability. Are you flexible? Are you adaptable? Cultural humility. Do you make judgments against other cultures and have unconscious bias? And a lot of people say, no, of course not. But there are some things, and we'll go over a couple, where we don't really realize we're doing it. We have to be aware of that in order to fully represent the people we want to serve. Emotional intelligence, one of my favorite things to say is when emotions run high, intelligence runs low. Nobody makes good decisions in the heat of a rage or when they're high on love or whatever. What we want to do is when we have to do something at work, or when it takes courage or resilience or whatever, we don't want emotions to be driving our car. We want to be able to think logically and to be managing our emotions. We can't be flying off the handle, making people uncomfortable, being the ice princess. Everyone knows someone who gets sullen and silent and refuses to talk when things go wrong. And it is a way of being very controlling. An emotionally intelligent person stops being the ice princess and talks about things in a win-win situation. We need to learn conflict resolution. So we talked a little bit about effective communication, and clear, compassionate communication builds trust. And what I'd really like to add, which isn't really discussed in the literature or narrative, is authenticity. People know when you're faking it. You can go in, hello, but really, if you're not really fully present, remember back to the second slide when we said the soft skills of nursing was being present, perceptive. Being present means you've left your own stuff outside that door. And when you walk into a room, you're fully present to be there as that healing medium for that client. You can always pick all of that stuff, that baggage that you brought to work with you. You can pick that back up on the way out the door, but don't take it into that space. It really is about them. They've come to us, they're vulnerable. It's our job to serve them. So effective communication, watch your body language. If we go back to Jamie, remember she had her arms crossed, it was a closed body position, her face was all grumpy. She's communicating her dissatisfaction with something. And so we can communicate by rolling our eyes, looking disinterested, hemming and hawing, over talking people. Those are ways of communicating too. And nurses must be clear. When we break down NCLEX questions, we're very clear about being clear, right? So in nursing, it really matters. When we teach someone how to take their medication, we may never see them again. As a visiting nurse, I had to do that all the time. I would go to a house and I would teach them. And I wanted them to be able to give me a return demonstration. So I know that if I left that house and never went back, they would understand what they needed to take their meds and be compliant. Because at the end of the day, that's what we need them to be. So critical thinking and decision making, we can talk about that. That's just another part of soft skills. We take all of our technical skills and then we evolve on them. We think about them. We make better decisions. Soft skills of nursing, when we're thinking, we're self-evaluating, using emotional intelligence, it really enhances our critical thinking and decision making. We're making decisions based on evidence-based practices and logic, not because we feel a certain way that we haven't fully vetted or we're annoyed or confused or whatever. So professionalism and teamwork, professional behavior fosters trust, of course, and we always want to hold that bar high. Remember, we're the most trusted profession for 23 years in a row. We want to be able to be that professionalism and be a team member for our job, for the enjoyment of our working environment, and also at the end of the day, it's all about client outcomes. Teamwork makes the dream work, they say. So we really, really want to be able to collaborate with others, work with others to make sure and ask the right questions, learn from our mentors, learn from our peers, so we can have better client outcomes. Save client handoffs. All of this is very, very important. We want to learn how to manage our stress and build resilience. And nursing, we have nursing burnout and compassion fatigue. We hear these words, these buzzwords all the time. So in your leadership, when you work somewhere, you want to work somewhere, hopefully, that leadership really believes in work-life balance and stress management and building resilience in their nurses, time management and setting boundaries, mindfulness, deep breathing, self-care. With a click of your mouse on the internet, you can find multiple resources on time management, mindfulness, deep breathing, self-care. It's the world is out there at a click of a button. Seeking support from your peers or mentors, seeking support through your employee assistance agency if you have one at work. Talk things through, be vocal, ask for help when you need it, and build a better workplace for yourself. So when we combine hard and soft skills, of course, we want to do that. We want to be technically excellent, always cutting edge, always at the top of our game with technical skills, but always working on our ability to be compassionate, caring, understanding, authentic. That's what we want. So what we do when we add soft skills, there's a couple things that I told you I would explain to you. Good communication improves patient outcomes, hands down. Your patient handoff improves your ability to communicate to others. You learn from others. It helps your clients learn. It builds compliance in your clients. It's just absolutely an essential task. And people hear empathetic interactions. They land a little differently than somebody just rattling off facts. And so empathetic interactions, they can also reduce pain, anxiety, and distress. Have you ever been upset and gone to a customer service counter and you're like, my credit card, and somebody said, I'll help you. And all of a sudden they'll say, I totally understand why you're so upset. And all of a sudden you can feel yourself coming down a little bit. and you see this person willing to work with you, and then all of a sudden it kind of pops the air out of your hot air balloon and you feel better about it. That's what we can do for people. We deal with people at the worst times of their life. They're so vulnerable, they're powerless, they're scared, they're all of this, and that's not anyone at their best. So of course they're cranky and difficult, but we need to rise up above, and use all of these skills that we can see beyond that. Don't take it personally, unless of course they're punching us in the nose. That's a whole other thing. But when we're talking about, we're not taking it personally, we're going to really try to meet them where they are and try to lead them to a better place, which is better patient outcomes. So soft skills, they provide safety and prevent errors. According to the Joint Commission, communication failures are a leading cause of sentinel events, meaning lots of things go wrong in the healthcare profession because of lack of communication. And nurses who advocate for their clients, use assertiveness and clarity, they reduce those risks. So it's really important. So they strengthen team collaboration. They foster mutual respect, reduce horizontal violence, which I told you is demeaning. It isn't punching somebody in the nose. It is demeaning, not helping, talking about people behind their back instead of saying, if someone's difficult, like, can we meet somewhere and do conflict resolution to build a better workplace? It reduces burnout and improves workflow efficiency in high stress units like the ICU or emergency department. My favorite is when emotions run high, intelligence runs low, because you don't want to be that loose cannon. I always learned in holistic nurses training, you don't want to run around like the girl with their hair on fire. Like everything's an issue. That's exhausting to you. It is exhausting to the unit. It's exhausting to your workplace. And so we really want, when we have these soft skills, we're not that person. We're approachable, we're adaptable, and we can work things out with people. So nurses with high emotional intelligence and self-awareness are less prone to burnout and compassion fatigue. And then it also helps your mental health if you're able to regulate your emotions. Culturally sensitive, person-centered care. Cultural humility, openness, emotional attunement, these are really imperative. They really support ethical decision-making, reduce unconscious bias. And so if you don't know what that is, we all have them. That's what soft skills, that's what emotional intelligence, that's what self-awareness is, to recognize your unconscious bias. We all want to believe we don't have them, and we all do. Things like making assumptions based on appearance or hygiene, age-related bias, weight-related bias, disability bias, bias against mental illness, socioeconomic bias. Avoid making assumptions about beliefs or values, because we are that healing platform. We got to make sure we vet what our triggers or what our belief systems are, because they'll come back to hurt one of our clients, not hurt them physically, but they will impact their progression if we have unconscious biases. We may miss something that we needed to see about them, miss a conversation or an opportunity. So these are my own things. This is near and dear to me. I really, really, if anyone's ever been in any of mine, is respect, empathy, holding that space for our clients. This is my passion project, if I have one in nursing, because I see things sometimes. I'm older, so I'm not a big social media, but every once in a while I see something on social media that says something like, they're saying, well, a patient wants to sign out AMA, let them. And that's, to me, something that I've never seen in my nursing world. And it's appalling to me that nurses convert client stories into their own stories. So we have to remember, these are not our stories to tell. We are witnesses. We have front row seats to some of the most difficult times in people's lives, to their pain, their vulnerability, their powerless. We have the power to change our life. And we also have the power to kind of dismiss them. And so we have to be very mindful of that. So we see their first breath, their last, and all the moments in between. Some of them are joyous, some of them are devastating. We see joy and fear and grief and healing. But there's a trust there that should never be broken. This is not your story to tell. A bad day is not your time to vent about the impossible woman and making people do it. You see people do it. I want you to really think about it the next time somebody wants to tell you a story, an anecdotal, a funny story about a client. Hold that bar. That's what soft skills are. Say, we might be able to talk about a clinical or do a root cause analysis of what went wrong in a situation, taking all the personal things out of the story about that person. But to talk about that person's life or experience or what they did, their bad behavior, their good behavior, it's not our story to tell. Our role is to witness, support, and honor their stories with respect and humility. Does that make sense? That's my passion project. So in nursing, we're called to lead. And with both compassion and clarity, we want to be clear. We do set boundaries when people are aggressive, hostile, or whatever. That's where good nursing leadership comes in. We set clear limits. We're not being unkind. And we stay grounded in our values. Remember, we have the nursing, we have the nursing ethics. We really think about things like that. We value them. So we want to care for ourselves with professionalism, empathy, and emotional self-control. We want to care for the people we work with. Even if we disagree with them, we want to be able to hold that bar pretty high. So I think we ran up to the end of our time. People are not always at their best. Well, they're never at their best when they're in pain, scared, or feeling lost. And so they are powerless or exposed, and that's when we need to be at our best. Steady, compassion, and it's clear. So this is where soft skills come in. I feel they're essential for creating a space that's safe, respectful, and healing. And so we elevate when we elevate ourselves, right? So the last thing that I'd like to go through in our last minute together is our takeaways are to develop both. Develop your soft skills as assertively as you do to work on being excellent and starting IVs or whatever you do clinically, whatever's in the policy and procedure manual, as hard as you work to be excellent at that, be excellent at all the soft skills as well. Stay updated with new clinical techniques, strengthening communication and teamwork, and also commit to continuous learning. I want you to think about the last interview you had and think about some of the questions the interview asked you, which are really soft nursing skill assessments. They'll say, tell me about a time when you had faced a difficult situation. Tell me about a time when something went wrong and you had to adapt. They're assessing your ability to adapt, to be resilient, to use emotional intelligence. And it is a part of the interview process now. So we've come to the end of our time together. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. If I provided any value to you, please let me know. If you like the way I present this information, please like, share, and subscribe. And if not, I'm really, really grateful that you took the time and you invested a half an hour of your time into my perspective. So I'm very grateful to you. On that, I'm going to let you find people go and have a great day unless you have any questions. All righty then. I'll see you the next time.